Right, tis Mindfully with Tumishi, the podcast. I'm Olua Tumishi, Ladapokuku, and for about 4 weeks now, we've been having this conversation around gender and especially masculinity. Of course, for those who have followed this podcast, you know that we've talked so much, and I've had a lot of female come. Ola is my resident co-host, but today I found this amazing, amazing young man online, and it was just through a post. I saw the post and I was like, "Oh, there's a story there," and I'm going to collect that story. and thankfully he's a friend of a friend, and is here today. Hanamel, how are you?
I'm very good.
Yeah, it's
Smooth
good
sailing.
Oh, good. So it's good. Usually, I don't allow people just say I'm very good on the show, but I'll let you. Maybe because we're both dreads. Yeah, I'll work with that. So, for those who are wondering who Hanamel is, did I say the name correctly though?
Yeah.
Oh,
Very
good. He's a writer. And you all know that I am biased towards writers, I'm biased towards creators. And usually, most of us who are creators are, we create from a dark place. The dark just embraces us. Yeah? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Very true. Very.
The dark just tends to embrace us, and that's what we create from. In good or bad, it's one of those things that we do not, I think we do not, do we truly have a choice?
I don't think so. It calls out to us and we just have to embrace it.
Yeah.
The same way we search for the answers and it appears and it embraces us too.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing about you is that you're a chef.
Yeah, there's a perspective I have about life, and in the grand scheme of the meaningless journey about trying to figure out what life is all about, it gets boring. So you as a creative, in order to suppress the existential crisis that you wake up to each day, you have to navigate a way to have your hands in several pies that keeps you walking, so that you don't fall into the depression of boredom, because it's very boring in this life, and you have to have several extracurriculars that would help you sail through it smoothly, or else despondency is the next stop where you fall into. And trust me, it's a black hole that never ends. You just keep falling. So I'm glad that I discovered that boredom is something that you can curb by having your hands in different pies and pots. As you get older.
Spoken like a true chef. All your metaphors are pies and pots, and that's okay. That's really okay. I love to cook. I cannot call myself a chef. I just love, but the thing about me though is I could sleep and literally think, okay, this flavor should come together, and then I wake up and just enjoy, even if it doesn't come out. But usually it comes out the way I thought it would.
Imagine, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, And I have a friend who's always saying, you might be a good cook, but you're a horrible plater. I'm learning. I don't know how to plate. Like, just eat the food and let me know.
It's another art on its own.
Yeah, it's an art, and I don't think I have the patience to be designing food. Trust me.
I understand.
All right, so I could just make this an episode about food and masculinity, but no, I wouldn't. So let's start with my normal housekeeping. Usually it will be, how are you, when you can say I'm fine, I'm okay. But for some reason, no, not some reason, because of that post that I saw, and the fact that I followed your writings for a bit on Instagram and Threads, my question to you will be, I'll tell you my definition after you've defined yours.
Okay.
Will be, are you a traveler or a tourist?
I am a traveler.
How would you explain that?
A tourist travels for fun, but a traveler travels for something more deeper than an experience more deeper than just the ephemeral fun. A traveler seeks to discover and immerse themselves in nature, because there's no one place that is the same. So that experience of getting to a particular point and realizing that this is quite different from where I'm from, and there are natural biomes that you've never been exposed to, and then you begin to immerse yourself in it and understand that nature is a wonder. And you're just experiencing that wonder and drinking in the beauty of it all. I feel like traveling is a soul searching and soul discovery journey, as against the normal traveling to go discover a place for fun, to take pictures and for social media. Traveling is personal, and it's a journey of the soul.
Is this how you approach life too?
Yes.
Okay, so you and I are on the same part. Okay, so I've had you, as a matter of fact, you define it exactly. I saw this in a movie, A Tourist Guide to Love, and
Okay.
the female protagonist was in Taiwan, and the female protagonist is American, was American, and the Taiwanese tourist was telling her to calm down. You're a traveler, you're not a tourist. And it is so amazing that you gave the exact, yes, almost word for word, almost verbatim, what the tourist said in that movie.
Wow.
Almost verbatim. I believe that, and I think, again, because you're more existential than anything. Yeah, I understand why you would identify as a traveler. It's so, that feels so good. So let's start this conversation. When I saw that post, if you're wondering what post I saw a reel by Hanamel, and it was as if it was getting a tattoo, or I think you're shown a tattoo of a guy who had his dad on, and then he turned. You had, because I have tattoos, so I understood as, what is going to, how is this dad going to look? And then nothing.
There was nothing.
There was nothing. Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it, because I am past the stage where I had to listen to people tell me that you don't have to say that story out, because you don't have to say it out loud, because you have to protect your family and all of that. It's a story of shame. You have to keep it under the bushel. To talk about it is to shame yourself and to get yourself judged by people and all of that. I think I'm past that stage. I'm widely studied and widely read that I understand that you don't have to censor your truth to be accepted. So yeah, I'm willing to talk about it. That's I've had a discussion with someone about fathers, how most of them are mostly sperm donors than daddies, because it takes a daddy to make a father figure come into full bloom. Most people are just fathers, which are possibly sperm donors, and then to be a daddy is intentional. We have a lot of deadbeat fathers flying around, but what we lack is daddy figures, because a daddy is intentional. A daddy understands the bonding moments and the precedence of their life fitting into that of their child or children. But most people are just fathers, and it brings to the conversation where I had with that particular person. Tunde is his name. We've had the same kind of parental upbringing, and when it comes to fathers. So I was surprised when he sent me that video on Instagram, and immediately it clicked to me, and I took it to TikTok. Because if you remember, my caption on it on TikTok is, "We don't do that here."
Yes.
We don't tattoo. It means we don't tattoo our fathers on our arms because they've not been daddy figures in our lives. So, talking about that, it just brings in fresh memories. I've not spoken to my father in over 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and that stems from the fact that he's actually a pedophile, and vividly remembering, hold this as a thought, vividly remembering his words. He said, it doesn't matter if a female is a baby, a girl, a toddler, a teenager, a young girl, a young woman, a lady, or an old woman. So long as her sexual orifice can accommodate the sexual organ of a man, there's no gray area, there's no in between. She's good to go. And this came as a defense of him trying to marry a 19-year-old girl at the age of 72. So I disrupted that setting, because the 19-year-old girl, her father is also my father's friend. So I got to discover that they are in some military cult. That's 13 years later, that there was some military cult, and it was his time to make a sacrifice to my father, and he wanted to sacrifice the 19-year-old girl to my dad. I mean, that's a very cruel thing to do to your own child, to to take her childhood and give it to another man. Her 20s, her 30s will be gone, because by the time she starts procreating with my dad, my father, her life is lost. There's nothing gainful about it. And I saw the way he brutally beat my cousin for being friends with the girl. And that was what spurred me into action. Like, why are you beating this guy because of this girl? They attend the same school, and it's apparent that they must talk, they must be friends. And then you keep warning this young boy that he shouldn't, you don't want to see him around the girl and all of that, and you're not giving the young boy a reason why you don't want to see him around the girl that he's his friend. And then it comes to the point where they go for an outing, and on getting back, you sight them from the balcony coming into the estate, and then once the boy is in the house, you unleash whips and belts on him, designing his back and making his back a gallery of strokes. That don't make sense. So I had to pick it up, and I had to talk to the girl's mother. You're going to lose your daughter. These men have no regard for women, and they have no regard for female children. To them, they are just hybrids that must be put in some form of sexual gratification. So you cannot allow your daughter be done this dirty by your husband and my father. So find a way to send your daughter out of this country, because there's a plan for my father to wed this girl. She's just 19 and this man is 72. This man has been through 4 marriages and none has worked. So why would you think that this is suitable for your daughter? At the end of the day, he's going to get tired of your daughter and he's going to send her away. My father's last child is 8 years old. Yeah, and this stems from after I disrupted that
Process.
He's wedded to a 19-year-old. He found another girl, I think she was 20 at the time, and her family was suffering. They attended the same church, and he noticed the girl, beautiful girl with naturally coily hair, beautiful girl. And then he said he wanted to help the family. As he was helping the family, he was helping himself to their daughter sexually. And then she eventually took him and he brought her to his house to satisfy his sexual whatever, and she gave birth to that boy. The boy is 8 years old now. I heard he looks like me because I have some semblance to my father, his physical whatever. So I heard he looks like me, but I've never seen him. So that's a lot of infractions, and it also earned me a disown because he disowned me for disrupting his marriage to that little girl, and because the girl was eventually sent to the UK and she's been there ever since. She's graduated, she's done her masters, and she's on a roll. She has a good job, and she communicates with me sometimes and thank me and say, my life would have been shit if it wasn't for you. I'll probably be languishing in your father's house and all of that. And she also champions processes. And I feel like she's still trying to recover from the shock of what
Would have happened.
been. Yes. So when I saw that video, it just clicked on me that this man has had several infractions. Number one, there was no bonding, a father-son bonding between me and him growing up, because he was complicit to his wife's abuse. Because I grew up with my stepmother, he was complicit to her abuse, and you have no idea the emotional, the psychological, the physical, and the mental tortures that woman and her first daughter put me through. But then I'm writing a book. My autobiography is going to cast all light possible on the experience, and I think they are going to be the first people I'll send free copies of those books so that they will see their deeds in paperbacks and all of that. So that was why.
Yeah. So how was this experience, shaped you as a person? Okay, so this is on the background of genderist debates. You go on Twitter. I'm rarely there, but it always will filter, and then one day one gender drama, but then here is you saying that you've of course your dad's story and then your stepmother. So where if you're going to say anything about that, how has that impacted you and the way you view gender debates?
Okay, I am very much aware of the gender wars going on and all of that, and honestly, I wish that we would have a uniform agreement that we're all just humans and gender doesn't separate us. It's just ideologies and all of that. But then I grew up with so much hate and resentment. And this was from the setting of me wondering why I was being poorly treated by this family that I imagined were mine, because my mom came for me at the age of 15. My mom is Jamaican, so my dad was on a military attaché in Jamaica, and he met her and promised her marriage, but put me in her and then came back here. He didn't even inform her that he was married with 2 kids, So when she discovered, she just brought me, after she gave birth to me, she just brought me to Nigeria and dumped me on him. And that was I was 6 months, and that was how his wife rejected me, and I was taken to my paternal grandmother. She raised me till I was 4 before I was reintroduced into the family, his immediate family, and that was where everything spiraled. Most of my punishment was getting to the library, we had a library and suite. So my punishment was I really played with my my half siblings, because I was always made to be in the library. And since my punishment area is the library, when I get bored, I read books. I was exposed to books at a very tender age, and I started reading, and it began to create the conflict in me that you can either turn out to be vile or you can turn out to be a better person. Like, life gives you a choice, and it's up to you to follow through with whichever. For me, I love women because beyond the gender battles and all of that, I see them as majestic creatures who multiply. Whatever you give to a woman, she multiplies it. And I don't know how they do it, but there are these people that they signify, they are symbolic of the universe. The universe have so much food to offer. Sidebar, a woman's body is filled with, it has curves and edges, which means these are parts that are uncharted, and it takes a patient man to discover the entire existence of a woman's body. But then, coming to the spiritual angle, as a man, if you're opportune to have a woman in your space, she's either going to be your purpose, the fulfillment of your purpose, or the demise of your purpose. Depends. Energy is what matters. So I feel like these gender battles are highly unnecessary. It's something that stems from lack of understanding and positing which gender is superior to the other. Without much ado, based off of my experience, based off of my studies, based off of my researches, the female gender is superior to the male gender in several aspects. What the male gender can boast of is physical strength, but the female gender supersedes physical strength. Like, one of the greatest things I'll ever marvel is the idea of the physical idea of a woman growing another human inside of her for 9 horrible months, that nobody have the idea of the phases she passes through mentally, emotionally, physically. Nobody can come to terms and define what that woman is passing through except she gives the definition herself. So I don't take men seriously who think that they are superior to women and all of that, and women must be subjugated, blah blah blah. I don't take such men seriously, because.
All right, so let me base that my next question on that, because I would need for, because you're a man. You're a man. All right, at least physiologically, you're a man. So how would you then define a man?
How would I define a man?
Yeah.
I've
Or
never
describe.
been.
I didn't define or describe. Yeah. I
have never been put in the position where I had to define what a man is. But I'm going to attempt it, because I like to be honest. So if I was to define a man, I would say a man is a flawed being who who is supposed to bow to the dictates of nature without fighting for superiority, because nature has put you in this position of whatever you desire, you have to first give before you can get it. So as tricky as it is for me to describe what a man is, that's what can come to head at this moment. I think I have to do a personal research on this particular question.
Because, okay, so I cannot, so I'm trying hard not to be genderist. I'm a woman. I understand. I always say to people that if men will be men, women will be women. If women will be men, men will be men. I've never also tried to truly define that. And I remember a friend who knows a bit of my story asking me, are you sure you don't have some resentment towards men? And I honestly can say I do not. I honestly can say I do not. Because for me, this issue of patriarchy, matriarchy, and all whatnot is the idea, or was the idea of someone who felt that they could subjugate either male or female.
Female, yeah.
So when in recent history, I think that even now, I'm not speaking for your dad, okay? I'm not speaking for your dad, but I've come to, with a little bit of research and relationships I've had and people I've been able to connect with, I've come to understand that, and even, the guys I've had on the show, Ola, Femi Jubal, and Emmanuel, that I've had on the show, there's one thing that is running through all of you, and that is some form of awareness. For Femi, it was him self-educating, also, in fact, everybody's self-educating and trying to go against the social construct. So here's my definition, here's my view or perspective of or perception of what I think why men are the way men is. There's no one who's actually modeling what a man should be to a man. So there's this generational social construct that has given such views to men to say that you're supposed to take, even if, because you're a man, you have this power and all that. However, I think that even in that, men have still been shortchanged as humans because of the physical prowess and all of that. Everything that connects with their emotions and saying all men are logical, women are more emotional than
emotional,
literally killing the feeling aspect of a man. What am I trying to articulate? I'm trying to articulate something. So men, yes, this is it. Men have literally not been given the permission to feel by the society. And I think that does us more disservice as human than it does anything. And of course, that's what's feeling. The day I read that post that says your wife is not your family, I'm like, what? So you're saying your mother? So you're saying your mother is not your family? You're saying that your grandmother is not your family? It was not then. It was a father. He said it was his father that told him. It was a father that told. So this thing started from somewhere, and I really, like I said earlier, I really do not like to get into this because we need to change the narrative. you're a man, I'm a woman, I have a boy, and I hope for the boy to be a better man, a better person, who is kind-hearted, who is humane, who understands that the next person is not supposed to be taken advantage of and all of that. So yeah, there's a lot of us who have stories that would make us want to, just kill. Another man, woman can stand here now and say they had, or a man can sit here on this table now and say that women are the vilest things. But how do we now change the narrative, Hanamel?
Well, first of all, I think that to change the narrative, the social construct of men being less emotional has to be destroyed. And how do you do that? Raising a new generation of men and creating awareness. Just like you mentioned, your son needs to understand that there's this thing called empathy and being human, which puts the male and the female on equal pedestal. None is subjected to subservience by the other. It's just plain existence. So, but when you look at how deep this social construct run,
yeah, very deep.
It begins to make you wonder if this is achievable. Because, come on, a lot of men, there's a common idea that irks me when I come across people talking about it, that if you don't have money, don't look for love. When you have money, women will come to you. No, if you don't have money, you don't look for love. And when you have, women will come to you. No, when you have money, you want to buy love, and you will not buy love from a particular place. You want to buy love from several places. And yeah, and that equates philandering, and you've lost yourself because you do not believe in love anymore. You believe that money can buy love, whereas in the real essence of it, money can't buy love. So there's somebody that can be with you even if you have nothing, and they don't desire anything from you other than your existence, your essence, your presence. You get, so they work with you, and people no longer believe that you can actually start from ground up with a partner anymore, because everything has pretty much been sexualized and monetized, including love itself. A lot of things hide under the umbrella of love nowadays to give a portrayal that love has to coexist with money and all of that. And then there's some Amish movies you will see where the farmer is contently perfectly in love with his wife, and they raise kids in the farm and they live happily ever after, stuff like that. I'm saying those are fictional characters, but that's not to say they don't exist in real life. But then the issue of cracking down on this structure runs deep, like the corruption of Nigeria, because you have to start asking, where do we nip this in the bud? Are we going to have enough essential awareness to go around? Because trust me, this whole gender stuff starts from the family background. Like you said, parents are always telling girls that that's not how to behave. It's only boys that behave like that. You have to behave like a girl. You have to sit like a girl. You have to act like a girl so that a man will be able to marry you. You know, they domesticate their children and pour in these age-old norms into them that separates gender and make it look like this is subservient to this is superior to that. So it starts from, if there's an awareness ever to be done on a massive scale, it's going to start from family. There are families that will counter you and tell you that a man is not supposed to cry. I cry sometimes. I cried yesterday because I felt hurt by someone treating me poorly. I cried not because I was a weakling, but because I had to find a way to decongest that emotion and be back to my safe space of clean energy. For me to keep that emotion of of hot inside of me and find a way to decongest it, it's going to spread like a virus across my clean mental space, and I'll have to do a much larger work. So if crying decongests one of negative emotion, I encourage everybody to do that regardless of gender. Tears is not subjected to a particular gender. It's not exclusive to a particular gender. There's this fresh air that comes after rainfall.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same. That can be equated with crying to decongest. You get. So I feel like if there's ever going to be an awareness that dumbs down this norm that says men are more logical than women and men ought not to cry and all of that, it's going to start from the family. The awareness is going to start from the family background, because that's the genesis of everything. If you say a man is calm and you trace the pattern of his calm, you would see that it originated from a loveless marriage, where he saw how his mother was poorly treated and how the father made fun of him and say, if you like, keep supporting your mother. That's how a woman will turn you into a vegetable. These things are ingrained in the consciousness of young children, and they grow up feeling that a man is better than a woman. And a man is not supposed to express this emotion because he is supposed to be logical, while the other gender is emotional. But I don't think so. I feel like expressing your emotion is not gender specific. It's something that ought to be taught in schools too, because our school system is not even helping matters. You hear a teacher tell a child that, why are you crying? You're a boy. Boys are not supposed to cry. These are statements that begin to form seeds of toxic masculinity onto when this person becomes a full-blown man, and then he says, I'm superior, why should I cry? Even though you feel the need to cry. And most of these people who actually express toxic masculinity, I want to believe that they cry somewhere in their closets. I want to believe that there are times they are very vulnerable. And this is as an aside. I laugh at my gender who constantly criticize and cut down women, because these are the same women you look to when you want sexual gratification. So when will you accept that you came from a woman and every emotion that a woman has is in your DNA and you are actually fighting it?
Wow. Okay, this conversation is taking a turn I didn't know it was going to take. Well, thank you for that. Like, okay, so I'm even getting schooled here, and that's okay. The International Men's Day for the year, the theme was zero suicide, and we know from statistics, I don't have them in front of me right now, but from statistics we understand that more men commit suicide than women. At least you've told part of your story. I know it's going to be darker than what you said. And I love that you're talking from a place of healing now. Yeah. But could you, did you ever need to get diagnosed of any mental health question?
Yes, actually. It was from a place of projecting certain behaviors that linked back to my childhood, like the fear of rejection, the fear of abandonment. Yeah, I had to take therapy sessions for that, because at the time I was projecting all of that on my partner. I wouldn't talk. I was used to being accused of things I didn't do growing up. So If my partner projected that on me, I'll choose the silent treatment. I would not talk for days because I would like, what's the need to explain when this has been my life? This has been what I've endured half my life. So it's pointless to explain. And it created a chasm between me and this person because I wasn't communicating with this person. And this person was getting tired that I want to talk to you. I want to peer into your mind. I want you to trust me enough to talk to me. I want you to tell me when I'm wrong about this thing. But you choose silence. It's not helping. So when it came close to losing this person, I realized that it was time for me to take therapy. And guess what? I do mental health first aid too. I work with MANI, Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative.
Okay.
I work with them as an in-house counselor. And then it felt odd at the time that do mental health counselors also need mental health therapy? So it was kind of difficult, but I had to make that hard choice that I would take this therapy and I would not take it from a man. I would take it from a woman because a woman is going to give me the unfiltered, unbarred, and unbiased truth. They could hook me up with a male mental health therapist, and he could kind of support me. I didn't want any of that. I wanted somebody who would be unbiased and who better than the opposite gender. And she brought out things in me that she made me go through series of exercise that I myself did not know that these negative things dwelled inside of me. I thought I had surpassed the boundary of not turning out to be a vile person as I would have if I had let all of what I endured dump itself on me. But trust me, there were still some healing, some very core healings I needed to do. And through the period that I was given, I tremendously worked on myself, and I am not ashamed to say I went under the scope of that therapy and came out better, because for me, I love improving on knowledge, wisdom, and seeking out self-consciousness. I want to be more aware about myself and what I am capable of, my powers, and I want to focus on the positives on it rather than the negatives. For the negatives, I am not ashamed to go under the scope of therapy at any time, because therapy works. I'll tell that to anybody, any day, anytime.
Yeah. Right, I see that, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that people are becoming open to therapy. I remember that the first person I told at work that I was living with bipolar affective disorder. No, it's not possible. And this person had known me for close to 15 years. And of course, I didn't even know, but I knew that certain things were not okay. I knew that, based off of my experience, I had something. My coping mechanism game was high. Like my coping mechanism game was high. Like there was no way. I was extremely functional, and but I guess when it was time for God and the universe to break me down, it was time. And therapy. Okay, so therapy is great, but for anyone who wants to go to therapy, it is painful. There's no need sugarcoating it for you. It is painful because the art of learning about yourself is painful. When you can answer certain questions about certain things that you had done or has been done to you, and then get to a point where you can say, this was done to me and that was what I did. This morning when I was writing that text to you this morning, when I said this had happened, that rape, molestation, and some personal horrible choices, I said, oh, Timothy, you're so grown. Yeah, I text myself. Oh, you're so grown. And personal wrong choices now is not even about whether I hurt someone consciously or unconsciously, but some
Mhm.
certain things that I did to myself, some certain decisions that I had taken based off of, like you said, or the fear of rejection, the fear of acceptance, abandonment issues, daddy questions, parental questions, and all of that, and how I had deprived myself of my full potential as a human being.
Mm.
And yes, of course, it takes only a healed person to talk to what you're talking, or rather, someone on a journey to healing
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
journey off healing. And of course, that's what Mindfully with Tumishe is about. And for us to be able to understand that these things that we do to ourselves, family units especially, or mental health questions that we seed in our children,
Mm.
and they were seeded in us, and we have to consciously remove, because the seeds are there, but you have to
Yeah.
get to a point where you will consciously tell yourself it's time, just like Jesus said in the Bible, okay, let them grow. Oh, an enemy has done this. He had planted, and then they grew, and then they saw tares, and he said, oh, an enemy has done this, but let it grow. When it's time for harvest, we remove the shaft, the tar, and then we leave
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we all have to get to the point where we sit down to answer those questions. It's difficult,
Mhm.
it's painful, but it's also so rewarding. And this is not just in relationships, it's in your business, it's in the way you deal with yourself, in the way you relate with other people, and all of that,
Mhm.
in all that area. So this will lead me, Hanamel, to how you were able to navigate and how food came into into the how food came into the equation.
Please come again.
Because this would lead me to how food came into, how you were able to navigate, during therapy, the mental health question, and how food came into it. Yeah.
Okay. I started cooking at a very tender age where I'll have to cook for my half siblings. So sometimes the food turned out salty, I get beaten for it. Sometimes the food turns out great and they're like, let's give you your flowers today, you tried. Stuff like that. So I'm a persistent person. I don't give up easily. So I just kept up the art and all of that. And then in 2016, I saw that, I've done so much in cooking, because I actually went to a culinary school in sometime between 2007 and 8.
Hello, are you there? Hello.
It's
Okay.
more of a mixture of flavors. Being taught how to mix flavors and how to get the flavors to seep deep into the food than actually teaching you how to cook food and all of that. So one of my greatest proficiencies, meats. I don't eat meat, but I know how to cook it very well.
Why don't you eat meat? Oh, you're a vegetarian?
No, I'm a pescatarian. I only eat eggs.
Eggs and all that. Okay.
So basically, I think over the years from childhood, I kept cooking, and as I cooked, I got better. Cooking was not just a hobby; it was an art for me, because it was fascinating to know that I can take this, add it to this, take that, add it to this, and then create something that tickles the taste board. And you have to nod your head and say, oh, this tastes great. So I like to create. That is just me. I like to create a whole lot of stuff, just the way words are eternally flowing into my head like rush of blood, and I have to race against time to grab these words, grab these letters, turn them into words, grab these words, turn them into phrases, turn them into sentences, turn them into stories. So it's a process, and I like to create, and that's basically one of the reasons why I stuck to the idea of cooking by the side, because I like to be this person who makes something that people get to enjoy. And I've had a couple of persons, I won't say a lot of, a couple of persons who have been addicted to certain cuisines I make, and they were addicted to it to a point where I had to say, you can't be eating this on a daily. I won't mention names, but there is this person who is an MD of a bank branch who used to patronize me. She ate 72 pancakes per day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, wow.
She wanted 25 per servings, and these pancakes must be made with, this 25 must be made with half a tin of powdered milk, half a crate of eggs, and half a box of sugar.
Whoa!
It must be. She had a specification at the time. I felt okay, client's order, but then I began to see the damages. She wanted 25 sausages with each serving. She wanted half a kilo of chicken fillets, salted in tomato and pepper.
Wow, that's so hard to eat.
Yeah, so I have been in this person's car to make delivery personally when I saw how this person stuffs like 3 of the sausages into the pancake, use literally fingers to scoop the chicken fillet sauce and dump on it and begin to hum like.
Ooh.
And this person went for a liposuction, and after the procedure, this person texted me and say, as soon as I'm in Nigeria, the first day I'm placing an order for 100 pancakes. In my head, I was like, not me. And then I told her I was no longer in Port Harcourt, so my business in Port Harcourt is shut down, so I'm no longer there. So I'm sorry, I won't be able to do that. But I wasn't going to be somebody who would contribute to someone's ill health, all in the name of profiting or in the name of being a chef or something. So that's a single story of addiction, that's to how they get addicted to stuff I make, and some people will call it juju, but it's just what it is.
All right, I need to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk about one of the things that you said at the beginning of this conversation that I love, the depression of boredom. We'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. So, still with Hanamel. Thank you so much for doing this with me. So let's talk about. I can't let us finish this conversation. I won't feel, that done myself some good. When you said depression of boredom, what did that mean?
Okay, it goes beyond just the words. It seeps deep into why a lot of people commit suicide nowadays, because they've come to terms that this existence is sort of meaningless and I've seen it all. What am I doing here? What's my purpose here? And when they find none, they just take that deep dive into the dark and they know they are not coming back from there. A lot of, as an aside, something occurred to me that one of the reasons why there's so much male suicide is because society has dumped expectations on them as men. At so age, you're supposed to have started doing this. At so age, you're supposed to have achieved this. Can't you see your mates? Your mates are building houses and buying cars and giving their family the lavish life. What are you doing with your life? Stuff like that. These are stuff that turn young men towards the path of depression. And when you head into that darkness, if there's no light to shine you back into the right path, you're gone. So this is one of the reasons, like, you want to acceptance, you want to be accepted, and you feel like it's the accumulation or acquiring of material things that will put you on the path. People will have to accept you because you have money and all of that. That's why a lot of guys choose the path of suicide, and most of them choose the path of suicide because they've acquired loans to live a particular kind of lifestyle, to fund that lifestyle, and since there was no headway, they had to take their life. So talking about what I had earlier mentioned about depression and boredom, I have had questions right from when I was young about this existence. Like, why am I here? What's the purpose? Like, is it to just be born, go to school, graduate, get married, get a job, get married, procreate, and die? Isn't there something that's supposed to be greater than that? So I got to a stage where I had to understand that regardless of the existential dread, you can create a world of your own for yourself in this world, like a bubble of your own. We're all floating in our bubbles. So you have to create your own experience, and creating your own experience would go beyond you waiting to be hand-fed on what to do. You have to think, you have to explore that part of your mind that tells you that, oh, you want a place in this world, what are you going to do about it? The challenge. And then you begin to understand that what are the things I'm gifted with? What are the things I have? What are the resources I have? And what can I do with them? And then you begin to discover that, oh, you can weave words, you have the culinary skills to cook, and you have the mental awareness to bring people to the consciousness of self. You can play an instrument. You know how to navigate waters like a fish that's swimming.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to communicate with animal. I do bird watching too, and bird watching is one of the most therapeutic thing a person can do, because it gets so birds live with a pattern, and if you visit a particular place where they live with the pattern, they will get used to you and they will perch on you. That's what I found out.
I don't like animals.
I understand.
Okay, so when I say I don't like animals, I love them for their metaphoric. Yes, there's a lot of metaphors that you can find with animals.
Yes.
But I can't, like, not even a dog. I can't stand near any animal.
So if you've noticed, the pigeons of Trafalgar Square in London, they are fearless. They don't shy away from humans. They're there. Because they know that humans come there with crumbs for them every day. So there's no need to be scared.
Afraid.
So yeah. So these parts, as a person, it takes somebody with a mind alive to come up with these things to do on a daily that keeps them away or a step away from boredom and depression. Like somebody says, I'm a recluse, I'm highly introverted, I stay alone, I do my stuff alone, I barely need people for stuff. So someone says, don't you get bored? You're always indoors. And I'm like, don't I have books? Don't I have movies? Don't I have music? Don't I have writing? Don't I have counseling? How would I get bored? And the person was like, only you. Don't you burn out? I'm like, how can I burn out when I do the things that gives me passion? How can I burn out when I do the things that make my world beautiful? You don't understand that. And then she goes, me, I can't do all these things that you do. All you creative people, you people are trying. And then you see that this is a person that has given up on, has not even explored their mind to see what they can do. This is a 9-to-5 person who believes that, oh, I'm going to strike it big being a 9-to-5 person and all of that. It will take a ton of understanding for you to explain to this person that 9-to-5 will not give you the fulfillment of purpose or the experience that your life needs. So this has pretty much been my story, and the avoidance of depression and boredom. Someone asked me that if I didn't have the gift of writing, what would I have done? I told the person, if I didn't have the gift of writing, because that's pretty much what I am before anything, I would have vanished into thin air and be flying around as a piece of matter. That's why I said, because I don't know what I will do with my life, because writing is my vocation. That's what I do. That's the only thing I know. I used to think that my talent was arts, drawing, sketches, because I attended School of Visual Arts, New York. Well, when I came back to Nigeria, I understood that drawing was a base thing. My gift was in writing, and it gets better every day. I write every blessed day. There's no day I don't write, because I don't know if to say it's a gift and a curse, because the gift of having to stay awake and wait for the muses to come and pour their jars of creativity into you, and then you have to arrange it, and the guilt of not doing it and going to bed and waking up and saying to yourself that, you see those parts, that could have been a part that you would have written something major, but you chose to sleep and you couldn't get it. So I live eternally with the guilt and all of that. I'm working on an article called The Gift and the Curse. Creative writers, you get. So I cannot help not have my hand in a couple of pies, because I would end up depressed, and boredom is something I've never felt, just the way I have never felt writer's block. People, when I tell you,
blessed. Yeah. Okay, so I think I understand. When I read that, when you sent that to me, like, okay, he says never experienced writer's block, and so it got me thinking. Okay, when I lost my mom in 2017, I write every day. I see words quite literally. Like I could be sleeping and then I would see words, and some of them are published. Some are just it might just be something that I observed and all that.
Yeah.
but I must write every day. But when my mom died in 2017, she died in March, and I kept telling people I've not written, I've not found words since she died, because she read everything. I had started podcasting at the time, but I stopped. But so when I was stopping, it was around the time that she took ill, and then I lost her. And and I used to say to myself, okay, did I really lose words, or I stepped back from using words? So when I read that, when I read that from that article you sent to me today, he's never experienced. And I remember that I did write some things during in the 7 months that I thought I had a writer's block. I did write some things that I just didn't think they were profound, or they were in the realm of what I would usually write.
Right.
And, I think that maybe writer's block. Maybe I don't know what writer's block is, but I do know that the only way that I can get out of a funk, the only way I can get out of anything, and one of the things that has helped me as a person living with bipolar, and as a person, and then and as a person living with bipolar, and as a person who will tend more to the depressive side of bipolar, one of the things that actually gets me out of the funk is to write. Once I can identify and label through writing, through words, and put letters and words together, usually I bring myself out. Usually I would bring myself out. However, in the 4 attempts, like again, all of this happened after I read your article this morning. It just took me through that process. Okay, he's never had a writer's block. How? And then the major the 4 attempts I've had, but the major one that really changed my life and my trajectory in my past, which was in 2020. Up until this morning, I'd have said it's because one of the things that saved me was I'm a process person, and I did not have. Something had to break. One part of my process broke that morning, is why I didn't go ahead. However, what I did first was write. I wrote almost like something I wanted on my epitaph, and I sent it to my friends, and that actually stopped me. So yeah, I probably have not had, writer's block. If you're real writer, somehow, somewhere, that. So let's round this conversation up now.
Okay.
We have had the whole spectrum. We've had the whole spectrum, and I'm glad to know that you work with Manny. A conversation that you and I would have to expand upon personally after that. If you are going to say something to first a boy, maybe maybe I should use boy, maybe, because I don't know if an 18-year. So let's say a boy. If you're going to say to the masculine gender between 18 and 45, 50, even 60, who might be listening to this podcast, what would you be saying to them?
I would say every emotion you have ever felt is valid, and it's not too late to heal, because most of these emotions you felt, including the toxic ones, were not your fault. They were implanted in you as a seed, and you manifested it in germination and bloom. But it's not too late to look back and retrace your step and understand that you can actually heal from all of that. And you can, in that process where you heal, help the next generation by putting out yourself as an example of someone who led a life of being dictated what not to make you this and how it turned out and how you wish it would have been better, just to help them, transcend beyond the frontier of this toxic masculinity structure that every child from a less conscious background is meant to pass through as a rite of passage as a man.
Why I shouldn't say anything over that. You just said that I shouldn't say anything. Oh my. Okay. Thank you. No, I'm not saying anything over that. Thank you very much, Hanamel. Oh God, I'm still reading from the last 2 minutes, in all that you said, and okay. So the show notes, the transcripts also will be available. So if you missed any of that and you don't want to rewind, check out the show notes. You would have the transcription. You can have fun with that. Thank you. Hanamel is a writer, is a chef. Hopefully I'll go to Abuja and eat your food someday. Not pancakes though.
No pancakes.
Not pancakes though. Thank you so much. Remember to love yourself, love your neighbor, love your country. Above all of this, love God. He is the essence of your being. It's not about perfection. Just show up. Until next time.